Hello, happy Friday here on this Memorial Day weekend. Welcome in. It's the premier Arizona Cardinal podcast, PHNX Cardinals. I'm Johnny Venerable. It's my co-host, Bo Brack, Damon, Dawg behind the mic. Become a diehard. Go PHNX.com. Pick up a free hat and or shirt every single year. You are a diehard. You know, it's a monumental weekend. It's a holiday weekend where we like to, remember those who serve, who gave their life for this country. But instead of talking about that atop the show, we get to talk about a big-time loser that slammed the franchise quarterback Kyler Murray unprompted. That's how I like to start my Friday Memorial Day show, Bo Brack.
Yeah, you remember that bad list you guys did on that podcast at one time? I want to revise it, and I want to take some extra cheap shots at a quarterback I never played with. Yeah, we'll get into that. First, let me say a happy Friday to Jessica, Mike A, Jr., Adam M, K2, Jonathan. Is it a Flavoring Fridays? Can we say that? There it is.
Sure it is.
It's an OG's official Flavoring Friday. Arizona's favorite cannabis kitchen, cooking up all the delicious gummies for your 3-day holiday weekend. Can't wait for that.
Can't wait for these Super Chats to kick off a Football Friday. Welcome in Jason, $2 back at it. Let's go. Hashtag MHJ, hashtag PHNX. Thank you so much, Jason. Excited to have you in the chat, my friend. Cardi D, there he is, $2 super chat at Jason caught me slipping, already day drinking. Hey, it's not first. If you're popping a beverage here, if you're popping an OGs, it doesn't matter when you get your super chats in. We appreciate all of you and all of the support. So welcome, Cardi D, diehard, I should mention, diehard, and it sounds like it's going to be en route to a little South Beach, Florida action with your boys and Hollywood Beach for Arizona Cardinals at Miami, Bo.
Absolutely. It's going to be an unbelievable time, Cardi D, a beloved friend of the program. So is Jason. Is Jason got a little streak going? Am I wrong in saying that? Is Jason locked in the first super chat of the day? Cardi D did a little bit of I think he did a super sticker yesterday.
They're changing blows. They're exchanging blows back and forth. And Damon makes the stream early in the day. And then those guys are just clicking refresh here on the YouTube. We don't hate it. Also don't hate this. Another super chat. Coach Gusto, $1.99. We got action. They have Awaken the Big Dog, K1. I love that emoji. Almost like the Bruce Lee emoji that he loves, honoring late Bruce Lee all the time on Instagram, social media, and his knee pads. We're fired up because we get to talk about K1 and we get to support K1. So just full transparency, if you clicked on this video, we appreciate it. Like this video. This is a pro K1 Kyler Murray podcast. Number one, because we know the caliber of K1. Number two, we've seen the alternative. Yet ex-receiver, undrafted receiver, Brice Butler went on a podcast and ran his mouth about Kyler Murray, whom, by the way, he has never played a down of football with. Why is that? Because Brice Butler's last year in the NFL was 2018. Kyler Murray played in the NFL 2019 in the modern era. So for whatever reason, Brice Butler acted upon verbal violence against K1, and K1 wasn't having it, Bo.
No, he wasn't. I'm not sure if somebody just alerted him that some guy that used to play in the league that's career high is 21 catches was chirping about him on the social media streets, and Kyler Murray just said basically, take my name out of your mouth. Right. Let's not use it for clicks or whatever. He's a self-described influencer, Brice Butler, as he's been 5 years since the league retired him after he had several, just tryouts that didn't turn into jobs. And he's going after Kyler Murray on I think a show that's just trying to get some maybe traction. And they're utilizing the clout of a former player. And I don't think anybody's buying it. Like there's nobody on God's green earth that's going to watch that video and see the rankings that he did. And it was based off the rankings of the last 10 number one overall quarterbacks. And he basically goes out, Brice Butler says, Kyler Murray's dead last to me because he's got this old tired narrative that Kyler Murray lacks leadership qualities and that he's not going to put in the work. He points to the study clause. I'm surprised he didn't pull any punches, or that he pulled punches and go after his height and all this in video games, because it was all played out crap that Kyler Murray's done a great job in debunking over the last couple of years. So it's really unfortunate that this was, semi-news today. We wanted to talk about it because we wanted to make sure that all the nonsense, all the slander that's manufactured and there's really no, validity to it will not be tolerated.
So here is his horseshit list. And again, this is the first and last time we'll ever give Brice Butler a platform on this podcast, certainly the Leaders Show. He had Cam Newton 1, Joe Burrow 2, Andrew Luck 3, Jared Goff 4, Trevor Lawrence 5. There's your top 5. Then this is where it gets pretty insulting.
Trevor Lawrence done?
He's won one playoff game, and he's been much less consistent than Kyler Murray. And he's played in the AFC South, right? Okay. Those first 4, those are guys that, Luck hasn't been to a Super Bowl. He had been to AFC Championship games. Cam went to a Super Bowl. Burrow, Goff, I can understand that, of course. Trevor, you have an argument? Absolutely. It's the next group that he puts ahead of Kyler Murray. Baker Mayfield 6th. And again, Baker Mayfield's coming off a nice year. Congrats to Baker. He got paid. There are 0 general managers in the NFL that would take Baker Mayfield over Kyler Murray. None. Caleb Williams at 7, who is yet to play an NFL snap. And I like Caleb, and I think he's going to have success. Agreed. But he hasn't played yet, right? Sure. Then number 8.
That's a fact.
Right. Hasn't happened yet.
By the way, Trevor Lawrence, he once led the league in interceptions. He had 17 picks his rookie year. His career high in touchdown passes are 25. Kyler Murray's is 26. He's 20-30 in his career. Trevor Lawrence. It's not a pretty resume for a guy that was, what was called generational coming out of Clemson, was an all-time winner. And I see the skill set. I see that he's going to get a big contract. I'm not going to, turn my nose up on the Jags keeping a franchise caliber quarterback in house, but he's not better than Kyler Murray.
Does Trevor Lawrence get to the postseason with Cliff Kingsbury in a division with Kyle Shanahan, Pete Carroll, and Sean McVay? Or does he get into the playoffs with the big poop emoji that is the AFC South before C.J. Stroud into the equation? And now C.J. Stroud and company, D'Amico Ryan.
That's the flag? Is that the flag of the AFC South?
Yeah, it's just the poop emoji, man. And again, they beat the Chargers. They had a nice comeback win against Brandon Staley, who's since been fired. But I think if you want to argue Kyler and Trevor, I think that's an argument that can happen based off the fact that, I love Kyler. He's under 500, just like Trevor. But I don't think there's any doubt. You can't question Trevor Lawrence, to your point, was more highly touted coming out. Can't miss. Whereas then I think it's a compliment to K1 that he has matched and or exceeded Trevor Lawrence thus far. Nobody was saying Kyler Murray can't miss. The conversations that draft were, he's too small. The Cardinals can't do it. They can't, jet set Rosen. They got to take Nick Bosa. Those were the conversations. Whereas teams were actively tanking. The Jets and the Jags were actively tanking to take Trevor Lawrence. But see, that's what this clown Brice Butler doesn't understand when you're putting these rankings together. It's nope, actually, some of these guys are victim of circumstances here. So Lawrence is 5, Baker Mayfield 6, Caleb Williams 7. And then if it's not offensive enough, Bryce Young, who just completed maybe the worst statistical rookie season ever for the first overall pick, is 8 over Kyler Murray. Bryce Young, who was unwatchable last year, looked slow, unathletic. I get it. He had Frank Wright coaching him. Kyler Murray had Cliff Kingsbury. What do you want from me here? Bryce Young played in the NFC South, a cupcake division compared to the NFC West, where they play big boy football. What in God's name do you have to rationalize to have Bryce Young over Kyler Murray? And again, this isn't me rooting against these guys. This isn't me rooting against Bryce Young, but you're doing this at this point. Any credibility that your little podcast had, that your ranking had, is gone now. You are clearly doing this. And again, a lot of other podcasts have done this. And I put it in my show tweet today. Kyler Murray is an easy target for people, unwarranted, unprompted criticism. So, like, if I was Kyler Murray, I don't know how you don't get off social media entirely. I guess that's letting these people win. But, like, I can't imagine going through the rigors of, I just want to post some stuff on social media. You know, we've had success here. I've taken the Cardinals to the playoffs. Yeah, we got some stuff to work on. And you're just getting hammered left and right. Like, I was on Don Banks did a podcast or did a ranking last year. Remember that one? I think it was for CBS Sports. And I went on like their preview podcast for the year, and I talked to Don about it. And he had Kyler Murray in like the bottom tier. Remember that? And we talked about that. And he's like, he admitted, Will, not Don Banks, the late Don Banks. I apologize. Will, something or other for CBS. And
I like Will. I do.
Yeah,
like
he's
Will.
a good guy, but he had
remember his last name.
He had Kyler Murray in the bottom tier with like the backups with like Sam Darnold, and I'm like, what's going on here? He's like, he's
Sam
hurt.
Howell.
I actually, didn't specify that, but that tweet, that graphic, got a bunch of pub on Twitter. And like nobody clarified it. And it's just like people just throw this stuff out there and they're like, well, Kyler Murray's an easy target. He hasn't proven anything lately. We're all prisoners of the moment, right? Mina Kimes was on this podcast 2 Fridays ago and said, nobody's watched the Cardinals since that postseason meltdown against the Rams. So we're just going to take everything from the last couple of years and we're going to put it all on this kid, really, this 24, 25, 26-year-old. Like it's gotten to the point where it's really gross. As people in the media that think, I'm just going to throw, logic aside, much less like, and we'll get into this, his own general manager and head coach had every opportunity to move off of him this year, this offseason. They could have had, Caleb Williams was going to be a Cardinal. They could have played Joshua Dobbs and Clayton Tune. They had one win against the Cowboys. They could have said, we're cashing it in. We are done. We want Caleb Williams. They did the opposite of that. You think that they did that not knowing that they hitched their wagon to Kyler Murray? It's lunacy, these lists.
It is terrible. It is terrible. We got Jameis Winston, who has a 30 interception season on his resume. 30 picks. 30. It's unbelievable. I mean, the top 10 list that Brice Butler has, it just comes from a place of ignorance. It's in the national audience. Anytime you see something from ESPN to CBS Sports to Pro Football Focus, there's all this negative, ill-informed, just crap that's spammed through the replies that people just regurgitate because they believe it's true. Because people like this, Brice Butler, clout chasers, guys looking for clicks, guys trying to create in this space, in the podcast, YouTube world, social media world, they're trying to get themselves at the forefront and create a voice for themselves. He's utilizing Kyler Murray in a negative light to get himself ahead. And it's terrible. It's terrible. And it's based off of, and it's more than likely from, because he didn't play with Kyler Murray, guys and relationships that he developed in his 5 months. 5 months he spent with an organization, by the way, one of the worst collection of wide receivers outside of Larry Fitzgerald you could find in the NFL in that decade. From 2010 to 2020, you look at, and this is, I don't want to really kind of rattle off names because I don't want to disrespect these guys, but Brice Butler couldn't find a roster spot. His career was essentially over at that point. He wanted to go be golf buddies with Larry Fitzgerald. He wanted to be golf buddies with Patrick Peterson. And that's where he kind of developed his relationships, because it wasn't on the playing field. It wasn't out there in the huddle. It wasn't out there working out. It was the 5 months he was in the building. He was trying to befriend some of the stars of the team. And people have felt like an entitlement that they were up next in this organization. And they've been on record saying unflattering things about Kyler Murray. And guess who's right there, in their shadow, following them around with their, washing their golf balls and then saying things, trying to get themselves, ahead in the podcast game using Kyler Murray's name. It's ridiculous and it's disgusting.
So those 2018 Arizona Cardinals, you know how many points they averaged per game? They were dead last in offense, right?
Please don't bring up that.
It was that 2018 Arizona Cardinal team that Brice Butler couldn't crack the receiving core was statistically the worst offense in the NFL in 20 years.
Oh,
They were 32 out of 32. They would have been 45th out of 45th, 65th out of 65th if the league doubled teams. The Cardinals that year averaged 14.1 points per game.
oh man.
The worst statistical offensive year since the Cardinals moved to Arizona. Kyler Murray joins the team the next year. They make a couple tweaks, I think, on the offensive line, but for the most part, it's the same group of receivers outside of like Pharaoh Cooper. You know how many points they scored the next year? 22.6 points per game. They were
full touchdown.
They were 16th in the NFL. He moved them half the league. He jumped half the league by himself. And kudos, Cliff was around and Kenyon Drake, and they had some like complimentary pieces. That's K1. Brice Butler, who couldn't crack 14 points per game, Arizona shit team picking first overall. And then Kyler Murray comes in by himself, essentially, and is like, actually, you know what? You guys want to return to relevancy? You want people to watch this team? Buckle up. Here I am. Like, has he been perfect? Of course not. But we're not going to use this platform today to talk about Kyler Murray and where he needs to improve or where he has improved. We're going to talk about the fact that no other quarterback, like, by the way, I didn't even finish that list. Jameis Winston is ninth and Kyler Murray's 10th. So I just need to put that out there because
I mentioned the 30 picks. You blacked out. When I did say Jameis Winston, you blacked out.
Yeah,
I saw
I didn't even hear that. I apologize.
Your eyes rolled back in your head, and you were actually. I thought maybe we needed some medical attention. And then who's 10 and 10?
Oh man, I can't even comprehend.
It's Kyler. Yeah, sorry, you put Kyler all the way at the bottom. Terrible.
Yeah, Will Brinson was the name we were looking for. Will's a good guy. CBS Sports.
Yes.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I thought we were done with this, though, by the way, because once I saw something in the chat, and I want to address this here. So somebody earlier in the chat said that they couldn't have traded Kyler if they wanted to. Oh, here it is. Kevin saying, what are you guys talking about? Kyler's contract prevents us from moving on from him. The cap hit, if we cut him, would be too huge. No one's cutting Kyler Murray. Guess what other teams in the NFL who don't have a quarterback would do? They would have traded a first-round pick for Kyler Murray, at least. Kyler Murray had a trade market. Guess who didn't want to trade him? The Arizona Cardinals. Monti Ossenfort, which, if you haven't been paying attention, is pretty fucking good at his job. Jonathan Gannon is tying his coaching career, at least in the early portion, to Kyler Murray. Those two guys made a point to say, we want this guy to come back when he's healthy. He's going to improve our team, which he did exponentially. They had a market. They could have moved off Kyler in a heartbeat, right? Yeah. But they didn't. And they didn't take Drake May or Caleb Williams or Jaden Daniels. They are happy, more than happy, with K1. And they're going to be rewarded for that, by the way, this season.
I think that if it came down to the head coach's decision, Jonathan Gannon, they probably would have never even set themselves up if they needed to pivot. Like, he wanted Kyler Murray as his franchise quarterback. That was what was appealing to him as far as this position after he was coming off the huge season that his Philadelphia Eagles defense had in their run to the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
Jonathan Gannon, JG, has an immense amount of faith in Kyler Murray. Like, his conviction in the quarterback, it's never been rattled. And then I think Monti Ossenfort, being more of a level-headed guy, and obviously he has to be the one that's the architect. I think that he was setting this roster up cap-wise to be able to pivot and go any direction, depending on what happened on the field throughout the 2023 season. And Kyler Murray, and Monti Ossenfort was pretty steadfast as well in training camp, telling us he wasn't going to hesitate to put Kyler Murray into the lineup when there was all these dumb, false reports that Kyler Murray in the Cardinals were preparing for him to sit the entire season. More false narratives surrounding their franchise quarterback. They put him out there as soon as they felt like it was the best time to get him out there. Mm-hmm. Went out there, played 8 weeks, and put up better numbers than Bryce Young, who played in 16 games last season. I mean, Kyler Murray had 10 touchdown passes, 5 interceptions. Bryce Young had 11 touchdown passes and 10 picks. And then Kyler Murray, I think, had 3 or 4 rushing touchdowns. So, I mean, just in half a season, he eclipsed what Bryce Young was not able to do in Carolina. And Adam points out here in the chat, the Carolina Panthers averaged less than that 2018 Cardinals team offensively, 13.9 points per game. That's unbelievable. That would make you like retch as a Panthers fan after having to watch that.
In the NFC South, in a division with the Saints and the Falcons terrible, terrible teams, like unwatchable. The NFC South was unwatchable last year. Oh man, I'm over this. I don't even want to talk about it anymore, but it continues to be brought up. Like, we had times during the season, and you had a good breakdown of it after the Bears game, where you were like, we just need to see more from Kyler Murray. And guess what? Then he produced, right? Halftime of the Philadelphia game, came out, guns a-blazing, had a game-winning drive, was fantastic. Should have beaten Seattle in the finale and going 4-4. Like, it's one thing to say, okay, I'm going to watch the tape, which, by the way, our guy Brian Baldinger does, and then just put a breakdown on his Insta story, on his Instagram that Kyler Murray shared, basically talking about how great Kyler Murray was down the stretch last year. Like, you can watch the games with your eyes and report facts and give, your takes on exactly what you're seeing. People who know ball, right? We always talk about Jonathan Gannon. Do you love ball? Do you know ball? Or you can cherry pick, right? Which is what Brice Butler is doing, in your point, to try to stay relevant or be relevant, to get his 5 minutes of fame in the sun, which, like, that flies in a lot of businesses, in a lot of aspects. Like, that's a Hollywood thing. People try to leech on and they put information out there. Like, the NFL, it's the top 1%ers that make it to this level. And then, as Valley of the Sun says in the chat, and then to go to a Pro Bowl or multiple, to win Offensive Rookie of the Year, to put up some of the best statistical numbers we've ever seen in Arizona. He is the best, unquestionably, the best homegrown drafted quarterback this franchise has ever had. And you might say, well, that's sad because, other franchises have had more success. Not us. This is as good as it gets. So I apologize if we're not just ready to throw this out the window. And then we see these kind of clown takes online, and it's like, man, the Cardinals are just such an easy target. Kyler Murray is such an easy target. And you know damn well, like, if it wasn't for his size or the stupid study clause, which was an error on Michael Bidwell's part, none of this would be happening. But we live in a society now where people just, listen, at the end of the day, people are just not very smart. And they put stupid shit out there for the sake of trying to get themselves some fame. And it's really unfortunate.
Yeah, no, it is. Like you said, you should be able to open up Twitter and do some of the good things that he does do, and showcase himself and what he's doing, and maybe would be more apt to speak more in a public setting than he does now. But every time there's something about him or there's some debate, most of it's not based in truth, in facts. It's mostly based off of narratives that people are trying to push. The old regime is trying to push, like that. Like I said, entitled players that thought they deserved something that they played their own role in kind of torpedoing. And then, of course, like the two people that hitched their wagon to Kyler Murray, and thankfully Michael Bidwell, amongst all the disarray after 2022, was at least able to identify the one worthy of moving forward with, and it was Kyler Murray. It was the one that obviously they made the investment in the huge contract, $230.5 million, but he needed to find somebody that was going to be able to tap back into and get Kyler Murray back on the right track. It wasn't, we're going to move forward with Cliff and Keim, because those would be losing. That would be, as Jonathan Gannon joked, because of Johnny Drew brought in donuts about, not winning mentality or not a winning, formula. The Arizona Cardinals found it in surrounding Kyler Murray with people that were going to empower him and put him in a position to win and really not just lean on his skill set, but not utilize it as a crutch either.
Absolutely. Let's get to some of these super chats here. Saint shitbag, $1.99. Kyler will be a top 10 QB this year. Like, I agree with that. I've made my peace with the fact that national media does not agree with that. If Kyler Murray plays, the only thing that holding Kyler Murray back is his inability to stay healthy, which he's acknowledged. He's got to play a full 17-game season, which is hard to do in the NFL, especially at his size. There's no way if Kyler Murray plays 17 games, he's not going to the Pro Bowl. This team's not in playoff contention, and he's not a top 10 quarterback this year. He always completes a high percent of passes. He always has the ability to make plays with his arms and his leg. He always has a beautiful deep ball. And now he's got Marvin Harrison Jr. and Michael Wilson, who looks exceptional, and a top 3 of 5 tight end in Trey McBride and James Conner and Trey Benson, and a good offensive line, like the same offensive coordinator. I mean, it's set up for him. Like there was going to be, I hope to God, the football gods, he stays healthy. There will be no more fulfilling comeback season in the history of this franchise then Kyler Murray's saying a big F you to everybody this year. And he won't come out and say that, but like indirectly with his play, telling a lot of people to shove it. Keep my name out of your mouth. I'm going to produce for this team. We don't need your coverage. We don't want your coverage. Go try to be relevant elsewhere.
Yeah. I mean, finally, true infrastructure, right? I mean, a lot of people will look back at the names and they get blown away by it. And because you had Larry Fitzgerald at the end of his career, right? You had, Fitz 19 and 20, the COVID season. And then you really got one season with DeAndre Hopkins. You got D-Hop, and then he had to deal with some injuries. And he was only available half the time after that. So you got one solid season of DeAndre Hopkins. You got Larry Fitzgerald at the end of his career. You've got Christian Kirk, who still at this point in his career has 1,000-yard receiving season after he got that big contract from the Jaguars. Hollywood Brown, who I think the jury's no longer out on Hollywood Brown. I think he is who he is as far as the NFL receivers go. Like this is true infrastructure. Offensive line, finally the best it's ever been. Like the last 2 years, you can stack it up probably against at any point since the teams moved to the desert. A stout run game, as you mentioned, with JC, and then Benson now backing him up, and Michael Carter is, the complement, change of pace back, and then a very cool, like diverse, big, physical wide receiver room outside of Greg Dortch, who gets open and can play his role very well. But people will like turn their nose up and say, but he had all these big name guys. But that was what the Cardinals were all the time under Steve Keim. It was just names, guys that had kind of created a brand, and then for whatever reason they became available, and they brought them in the desert, and it just wasn't a whole cohesive unit that would create infrastructure for consistent winning culture.
I mean, as a career player in the NFL, he's got an almost 67% completion percentage.
Yeah.
He's averaged 2-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. He's going to give you 5 to 10 on average a year rushing touchdowns. He's only ever been sacked more than 40 times as a rookie. So then since then, it's been 27, 31, 25, 18. Now I know he's missed some time. He doesn't take too many sacks. Doesn't turn the ball over. And he's a high completion guy, and he's mobile. I mean, and he produces touchdowns. He doesn't win enough for people. But again, like Justin Herbert hasn't won many games with the Chargers, and he doesn't take this kind of flack. It's because he's more likable. He fits the stereotypical prototype of a quarterback, and people give him grace, right? Oh, he's in a division with Andy Reid. Kyler Murray is in a division with, as of last year, 3 guys that are probably going to be in the Hall of Fame, head coaches. You know how difficult that is? That's more difficult, in my opinion, than if you're playing against your 3 counterparts or 3 Pro Bowl All-Pro quarterbacks. The Cardinals have had to deal with, and Kyler Murray has had to deal with Pete Carroll, Sean McVay, and Kyle Shanahan every year he's been in the NFL. And he had them on track to win the division before he went down. In 2021, they made the playoffs. Like 2020, 2 years removed from being the biggest laughingstock in the NFL. They were 1 game out of the postseason. I mean, it's just like, what? How many quarterbacks could take the situation that Kyler Murray inherited and have the similar or greater success? Like CJ Stroud did what he did this year with DeMeco Ryans, commendable. He did in the AFC South, right? They had one of the easiest schedules in the NFL. Like we talked about Andrew Luck on that list. Like that's somebody again that AFC divisional round or postseason run his first year. Like those are the things that I think are comparable to what Kyler Murray did. Most of the time, it looks like Bryce Young, where you can't. It's like a car crash, right? You don't even want to. They're not even watchable. The Panthers weren't even consumable this year.
They weren't.
Like, talk to me about Jameis Winston's Tampa Bay Buccaneer career. It was the definition of irrelevant. Marcus Mariota, like these guys that were drafted high that are nowhere near this list. It's a laughingstock. Kyler Murray's in the playoffs. Kyler Murray went to the playoffs. He won Offensive Rookie of the Year. He made Pro Bowls for the Cardinals. And if you want to say the playoffs are a popularity contest, that's even more of an indictment of people who say that, because clearly Kyler Murray isn't popular by conventional standards, and he's still going to the playoffs, and he's still going to the Pro Bowl.
Here's the last thing I think about this, and it's so refreshing that there's no longer this caliber of person in the locker room.
Yeah.
For so many years, because they were just patrolling the free agent wire to fill so many holes, and they kick the tires on somebody like Brice Butler, and there's really not any kind of investigation into who he is and what he brings as a player, as a teammate. And I don't know if, like, 5-10 years down the road, we're going to see any of the guys on the current roster and the roster in the next couple of years who are going to be pulling this jackassery, like on podcasts or on radio shows or talk shows. Like the rookie class, and we've talked to every one of them now, and the free agent class that they brought in, from Sean Murphy Bunting to Justin Jones to Bilal Nichols, like, they're all really good guys, team guys. And this type, these guys, they weren't. Yeah. You look at their career record, they were just trying to latch on to whatever team was going to give them a paycheck or give them an opportunity. And they never bought into a team, into a culture. And it continues to show after their playing career that they're all about themselves. And I'm glad that there's a new type of Arizona Cardinal player that's a lot easier to root for, no doubt about it, from front office to coaching staff to the roster.
Going to get back to your super chats here, but somebody else that it's easy to root for is our friends at Desert Financial Credit Union, the official credit union of the Arizona Cardinals, PHNX Sports, and the Venerable household. That's because for more than 84 years, Desert Financial has been Arizona's largest, most trusted local credit union, dedicated to creating exceptional experiences by giving back to the community and providing financial solutions that make lives better. And again, if you got a checking account, you're covered there. What about a savings account? Mortgages, loans, credit card, investment options, and more. They've got tons of stuff to help level up your financial acumen by people who just care and want to help, right? This isn't a transaction. These are people that are ready to help you invest in your financial goals and dreams. Plus, if you're an Arizona sports fan, there's no better place to do your banking than Desert Financial Credit Union, where it's the only place you can show your team spirit every time you make a purchase with the exclusive debit cards branded by your favorite teams like the Arizona Cardinals. Get that Red Sea Arizona Cardinal Visa debit card. It's fantastic. All you got to do, open up a free checking account online and get an Arizona Cardinal Visa debit card in a matter of minutes. It's all signed up for free. It's in the mail after the fact. Desert Financial Credit Union. Again, level up your financial acumen today, Bo.
It's pool season, it's barbecue season, it's outdoor season, it's sunglasses season. If you had maybe the foresight to look down the road to this 3-day holiday weekend that you're going to spend most of the time outside and need some cool eyewear, you got on it, logged on to ShadyRays.com, got yourself a few solid pairs of sunglasses, premium polarized sunglasses from our friends over at Shady Rays. And you're going to save yourself 35% just by being a viewer or listener in this year program, PHNX Cardinals. You can get 35% off. How about they've got the beautiful Shady Rays, all color rush. How about the tangle free? You get the unbelievable ones right now. You can get them $54 normally. You get them for $35 with the promo code PHNX. Don't delay any longer. Get those polarized sunglasses, 35% off. Tangle free, $58, now $37. The color rush, $98, $63 with that promo code. See why 300,000 people have rated them 5 stars online. ShadyRays.com. Find your new pair of favorite sunglasses and don't break the bank doing it. It's well below $100 price point, especially when you're using that promo code PHNX.
Just picked up the Deep Timber from Shady Rays. Love it. Fantastic. I have the all black, which is fantastic as well. But I love a Deep Timber.
You're flexing.
Yeah,
you're flexing right now.
And those are the two of my faves because they go with every outfit for your boy. Drop a like on this video, by the way. Happy early Memorial Day weekend to everybody in the chat. We appreciate you.
The loafers? Did you get the loafers? You got something to max the
Deep Timber matches the loafers. So Good news for me. I'm going to be rocking those in Maui in just a couple of days. But before I do, I want to hang with everybody here. Super chats. Illa Dre, how about this? You're talking about my outfit. He's talking about yours. $1.99. Bo, that hat is fire. A jersey would look good with it. I agree with that.
But yeah, I mean, sure, on game day, potentially, for sure. But isn't this enough right here? You go to State Farm Stadium and you're repping the team as much as, a man of my age should.
Let me ask you this. So we got into it, all fun, tongue in cheek about jersey purchases. Now, Bo is very much of the mindset that he does not believe he needs to rock a jersey, but other people can. And I think that's a little disingenuous.
Here's
I
what
got to
I
ask.
think. Can I say this? Can I
Yeah,
say this real
go ahead.
quick?
You can.
I want to interrupt you more, but I think that the only time a jersey looks good is and Damon, I want you to chime in, the fit with the hoodie underneath. And in Arizona, you can't rock the hoodie at all seasons. I think that's the best look with the jersey. You go jersey on top of a hoodie.
Damon, what do you think about that?
I think that's actually pretty fair. I think for football jerseys in particular, the hoodie is a big move, and you're not wrong, Bo. I think it's obviously it's difficult here in Arizona. It's pretty hot until November.
Come on. I like the look. It's the jersey tucked into the jeans with the belt. I think that's a good look. If you had to pick, the Cardinals said, Bo, we're going to gift you a jersey, and you went to the team store.
Mm-hmm.
Which jersey would you pick out? Like if you weren't actively purchasing it, and it was going to be something where you'd wear it sparingly, but you were going to just get one, which jersey, current or former Cardinal, would you get?
I mean, I want to support the new era. Of course, like if you look back, it's tough not to get away from Fitz or a Tillman jersey. But if you look at, I mean, I'm chalk. I want that MHJ jersey. I want the Harrison Jr. 18.
Smart. Very correct. That's the answer I would go with as well. And I have a Fitz jersey, and I've got a Tillman jersey. I do not have a Marv jersey yet. Like most
the Anquan Bolden jersey that Kyler's rocking on draft night was pretty nice too.
Absolutely. Yeah, no doubt. Saint Shitbag is back. $4.99. Would you let James and Buddha walk to extend Froholt and Hernandez? The super chat brought to you by Johnny Venerable Scatback Highlights. We appreciate that. Those highlights are on the dark web, though, my friend. Buddha and James walk to extend Froholt and Hernandez. It's a really good question. We broke down earlier this week's extension candidates, and Bo and I gave our honest opinion as to who we believe is going to warrant extensions. And I would say yes, because both of those players are under 30 years old. Both of those players protect Kyler Murray. And the heir apparent to Buddha and James could potentially be on the roster. Now, I'm not saying for sure, a fourth rounder who hasn't played a down in the NFL, that's ridiculous to suggest that Buddha could be replaced by said player. But Froholt, who's replacing Froholt? Froholt's an ascending player, in my opinion. And Will Hernandez, I don't think it's going to cost you very much. Like, I think there's a reality where everybody comes back. But if you're asking me, like, my preference over those two, like, we said it earlier this week, I would take certainly Froholt is number one. And then, Will Hernandez is, I think he's going to come back at a discounted rate. I think he loves Arizona.
Yeah. I mean, he was a desert Viking, as self-proclaimed, before he even joined the Arizona Cardinals organization. Mm-hmm. He was working out here and bought a house in the East Valley, I believe. But I agree with good old Saint S-Bag. As far as prioritizing who you're going to extend. Yeah, I think you start with Froholt, and then you start to look at Will Hernandez, and then maybe Buddha, and not maybe Buddha. Like, I mean, as far as with Will Hernandez, Buddha, and then James Conner, you try to figure out, what the future looks like with him on the roster and financially what that looks like.
Yeah, I just think you can't screw around with offensive line play, and this franchise has done so for too long. And I just think, unfortunately for Buddha, I don't want to say unfortunately for James, because I think James has made a lot of good money with the Cardinals, and I'm so glad he got to play out the length of his contract. And I think he's got another good contract, ahead of him in free agency. We saw Derrick Henry get paid in his later years with more mileage. So both these guys are going to get theirs. But for the Arizona Cardinals, I just feel like, are you extending safeties and running backs into their 30s, or are you extending players that protect your quarterback that you have to have? Because we've seen the alternative, and it's not pretty. Mitch Henderson, great segue, $9.99 super chat. Thank you so much, Mitch, for the question, my friend. Sup, dudes? I live in Miami now, and I already have tickets for the game. Good for you, man. I wish I lived in Miami part of the year. Can I purchase a tailgate ticket to come hang out with you guys before the game? Can I have a beer with the PHNX Bros? Unequivocally, yes. Like, we will make that happen regardless. I believe our friends at True Fan Travel, Mitch, if you go to their website, perfect segue into True Fan Travel, we can make that happen. So, again, there are packages at True Fan Travel right now for the definitive Cardinals at Dolphins extravaganza, and it starts at $12.99. And we're talking about flights, we're talking about travel, we're talking about booze cruises, tailgates, events, as Mitch has alludes to. So, Mitch, check us out at truefantravel.com. If for whatever reason you don't find what you're looking for, DM Bo and I. We'll take care of it. We'll make sure we're all hanging out, because that's the goal of this, Bo, is we're all hanging out in Hollywood Beach on the Marriott. We're talking about a pool. We're talking about hotel seaside, baby. And then we're talking about the Cardinals whooping that ass of the Miami Dolphins in style.
Absolutely. It's all about us being together, celebrating this team, getting ready for this matchup with their AFC opponent. And not just having to travel. I mean, that just makes it easier for you to get into our event. We'll figure out, the logistics as far as that goes. But truefantravel.com, that's going to get you to see the Cardinals wherever you want to see them play this season. But most importantly, that game against the Miami Dolphins down there in South Beach. Do not miss out on that. We're excited about it. And more details, go phnx.com.
Yeah, our trip package includes 3-night stay at Hollywood Beach Marriott. Again, we get a welcome event, all the transportation you need. Like, one of the biggest things when I book packages, right? I'm going to Hawaii with my wife next week. I booked it through an agency where I'm just like, take care of everything, give me the best price. That's the definition of true fan travel. So you get flights, transportation, right? Hotel, game day transfers to and from the game. So you can do your thing the night before and just wake up and say, oh, I'm gonna hop on my transfer. How about this PHNX booze cruise, this boat cruise, all inclusive? Hop on the boat, have a great time.
What?
Yeah, I love it. I love it so much. The Q&A, we got Cardinal players on deck, former Arizona Cardinal players. We got a pep rally, all inclusive tailgate. Of course, you've got your tickets, and the itinerary is only going to grow. So we talk about packages starting right now at $12.99. Like, the packages aren't going to go up in price. All that's going to go up is the itinerary, the fun, the festivities with your boys and girls of PHNX Sports. And we're fired up to see all of you Hollywood Beach en route to South Beach for the Miami Dolphins hosting the Arizona Cardinals. We pick one game before this year, and we partner with our friends at True Fan Travel, and we say, give us your best offer, and they went above and beyond. So again, check it out. You've got time. You want to make a deposit, right? You can make a deposit now. You can get a refund up until May 30th, which I believe is next Thursday. And then you're like, okay, I need some time to make payments. You can make payments for 4 months on this trip. So again, by the time October rolls around, we're ready to rock and roll. And all you're doing is you're being taken care of by your friends at True Fan Travel and PHNX Sports, Bo.
That's right. Jess saying she's going to go it alone. Travel buddy group. Absolutely. Everybody buddy up. We're going to have some fun. Yeah, there's Sports Hero, the impromptu Damon Dawg wedding and reception included in the package. Are we doing it on the booze cruise? That seems like the best venue.
I think that's 100% the play. And
we're going to get
to
so gross on the booze cruise. We're going to get just sloppy.
In the name of love. In the name of love. It's going to be
like
great.
That episode of The Office where they had the booze cruise. It's going to be that, but PHNX Sports in Miami. That's what we're doing. Austin M, $4.99, currently in Indy for the 500. Well, have fun with that, my friend. I've never been to Indianapolis 500. Oh, no. I walked past St. Elmo's and saw JV's leftover steak still waiting to be eaten. Never forget. Oh, my goodness. So do they have a what do you call it, a memorandum that they have out front just saying that here lies the leftover steak?
Yeah, here's about 50% of a 14-ounce ribeye.
65% maybe. Here was the worst take. Was
eaten or left?
Eaten. Here was the worst take, Austin, when it came to that, was the fact that people blew me grief for not like taking it with me for leftovers. So number one, after St. Elmo's, we were going out. I was just going to carry this, plastic or styrofoam tray to all these other opportunities to see Big Dom and everybody. No, I'm not going to do that. So let's say I ran it back to our Airbnb. Our Airbnb, did it have utensils? Like, am I just going to eat a steak left over the next day with no condiments, with no steak sauce? Like, even JG was like, you didn't bring it back to your place? Like, here's the thing. We're in the Airbnb
refrigerator
without condiments. I mean, there was nothing there. What do you mean?
There's condiments. There was definitely utensils at our Airbnb. No doubt.
I didn't use any of them.
Sharp, the caliber of knife that you needed. Anyway, like
and
at that point,
why do you need A1 steak sauce for St. Elmo's?
A leftover steak? I don't care. So I'm microwaving the steak, and I'm just going to eat it like on a paper towel in our Airbnb, which we only use to sleep, by the way. Anybody who knows what we put in, the amount of hours, we went back to the Airbnb to change. Then we went out until about 2 a.m. Then we woke up at 6 to grind all day. There was not a lot of steak eating opportunities for me. Plus, like, I don't want to eat leftover steak the next morning.
What are you talking about? You just wake up, you grab it out of the fridge, and you just palm it, and you're just eating it like an apple.
You're so disingenuous, like you so often are on this show. No one else would have done that. Everybody else, it would have sat in there until we left, and it would have been thrown out. But it's easy and convenient for people to say, "Oh, you just take it with you." No one would have done that. No one. Ozzy saying, "Johnny, that steak will taste nice. Put it in the microwave." Sick. I'm not doing that. Leftover microwave steak? No.
What about Animal TV suggesting grinding it up into a hamburger? You're a big hamburger guy now.
I don't think those kind of tools were available to me at the Airbnb. I probably would put ketchup on it just like next day just to try to get it down. But listen, they took care of us at the combine. They had a nice media room where, we made sure to take full advantage. But Ken Weber saying air fryer again. Airbnb, it was just literally nuts and bolts. You're just getting by. You're getting through it. I wasn't looking through all the cabinets and for the culinary options for me to, reheat my St. Elmo's steak. But the number one biggest factor is we left St. Elmo's. It was like 9:30, and we were going to be out for a few more hours. What am I doing with that? Just holding it?
It's not like you were like shaking hands all night.
Oh, yeah, sure I was. Hey, Mike McDaniel, can you hold my leftover steak?
So you stand awkwardly in the corner of the bar with a leftover box instead of just awkwardly in the corner, empty-handed.
We talked to the Houston Texans GM the last night we were there. Maybe I should have just – Casario's walking around.
Just put it in his backpack.
He had a backpack on. I should have just said, "Hey, Casario, can I put my leftover steak in your backpack?" And he would have been like, "Get away from me. Security. Dom, Big Dom, come over here."
Hey, PFT commenter, you want a piece of this? Can I break you off a piece of this steak?
People are saying, put it in a tortilla. That wasn't available to me. Just assume that I had minimal entities to use to consume the steak the next day.
I told Casario his team was just a weekly nightmare for us. We broke the ice, and there was the opportunity, every opportunity. He said, "Hey, can you conceal this steak in your backpack for the next hour or so?"
If I had brought that steak back with me, 0% chance I would have eaten it. And it wouldn't have been because I didn't want it or I wasn't hungry. I was always hungry at the Airbnb. I'm not putting steak in an Airbnb microwave and eating it with my hands on a paper towel. And none of you would either. Anybody in the chat right now that's saying that you are liars. I love all of you. You are dirty, rotten liars. Now, Bo, please tell us about our friends at OG's.
I love talking about OG's. We love our friends. It's perfect for the 3-day weekend. OG's. Get it started tonight with your favorite Arizona Cannabis Kitchen. If you don't know about them, they're going to find and make your cannabis experience top notch. What you're seeking from your cannabis gummy, you can find at ogsbrands.com. Their full product line. It's the fruits, it's the cream, it's the happy balance, it's the sleep time gummy. They got the naturals, they got the big OGs. Don't miss out on any of this. And it's being cooked up right in your backyard. If you're here in AZ with us, if you're local, you can check it out. How about go to Big OGs or go to ogsbrands.com. Follow them on your socials as well at OG's Brands, and head over to your local dispensary. You can find them there. If you're 21 years or older, certainly go pick up some of your favorite bouncy, delicious gummies from OG's Brands.
Fired up here on a Football Friday again. Big thank you to everybody joining the show today. Drop a like on this video, this OG's Flavoring Friday. And we thought we'd spice it up a little flavor, free agency flavor. We talked to Baldy, or I did earlier this week, and I mentioned that Justin Simmons still available. A lot of safeties. Mm-hmm. What does the pass rush market look like, Bo Brock, when you consider a lot of the guys were signed in March that we preview, but there still are some, let's just call them notables available here post-draft. How many of these names do you think would help the Arizona Cardinals' unproven pass rush? Zaven Collins, B.J. Ojulari, the incumbents, but anybody on this list, available edge rushers, lend themselves a helping hand to the Arizona Cardinals, ranging from 30 years old all the way 27, 35. Any of these players would come in, they'd be a relief pitcher, right? Give you a couple seventh, eighth inning fastballs. They're not going to be instant 17-game starters playing 300 snaps, but some interesting names, no doubt.
Yeah, maybe a Lawson coming off a couple injuries. I mean, I think guys like Marcus Golden or Jerry Hughes, you know, I don't know if you want to give any snaps that you would give to a younger player to those guys, in their mid 30s. Ngakoue is interesting just because he's been pretty productive his entire career.
Right.
And I think that's the lefty, the reliever that's a journeyman that always seems to find himself in like a playoff chase in throwing big innings for a team. So in a pass rush scenario, I think really only Ngakoue here, or a Lawson if you want to kick the tires on him. But outside of that, I just don't. I'm not buying it.
Well, I was trying to connect the dots. I mean, everybody in the chat, keep us honest. Damon, Dawg, Bo, keep me honest. How many of these players have ties to Jonathan Gannon and or Nick Rallis? Like, I was trying to think. Ngakoue was in, Indianapolis and Minnesota, but never at the same time as JG. Now, you certainly make calls on it. And they had overlapping, fellow position coaches, assistant coaches, players. Like, Ngakoue to me makes the most sense given his familiarity with Gannon and the coaching style and the scheme that the Cardinals want to run. Like last year in Chicago, Ngakoue was okay, but the year before he was really solid. And there's folks in Chicago that want him back. And Gannon does a lot of the same things with his defensive front. Jerry Hughes was never in Indy at the same time. Shaq Lawson, there's no ties there. Carl Lawson, to me, if you just talk about pure potential, is probably the name at 28 years old. Like, he has missed time, I think each of the last 2 years, especially last year, but he is 1 year removed from a 7-sack season for Robert Saleh. So I do think that there's an opportunity. Could he come in and give you a handful of snacks, a little bit more pressure? I think if I had to rank them, I would probably go Ngakoue first, then Shaq Lawson, and then everybody else. You're really grasping for straws there. Like, I see a lot of people giving Marcus Golden love in the chat. The problem with Marcus is he can't move side to side anymore. Like, his ability to move in space is not there. And then you think about like Pittsburgh, he had every opportunity last year to really kind of help them, and just the production wasn't there on a loaded defensive line. So I think, for those, hey, Calais, Marcus Golden, those are prior regime guys that I don't expect back.
Yeah. Was it Agba at the top from Miami? His position or defensive line coach was now the Arizona Cardinals.
That's right. Yes. Good point.
There's a little tie there. Cardinals pass rush.
When was he the coach?
He was before last year. So Agba's been there for 4 or 5 years?
Yeah, he's been there 4 years. He had 9 sacks back-to-back years. Then he had an injury-riddled season with 1 sack. And then he had 5.5 sacks last year. So for Fangio's defense. So
he's kind of up front. He's kind of up. He's kind of more interior though, isn't he?
He's very much more like Darius.
He's more of a 3-4 guy, yeah, for sure. But I mean, just looking at this list, the reason I asked that is because Shaq Lawson also played for the Dolphins in not that long ago as well. So that could also be another name that maybe he played under the current defensive line coach.
Yeah, it's possible. It's possible that they're past. The Cardinals, their coaching staff now is littered with guys. It doesn't just have to be JG
sure.
or Rallis or Petzing, because their position coaches, like they actually have been in the league for a long time. It's not like, hey, they came from this university or whatever. I mean, Rodriguez, who's their pass rush coach, he made the move from Arizona State, and he's got a lot of respect in that locker room. But I will say this, as far as if they're kicking the tires on these guys, something catastrophic has happened. Either an injury.
So? You really think so?
Yeah. I mean, who are you giving up a roster spot for to accommodate?
That's really easy. Let me pull up the depth chart of pass rusher. And again, I'm not throwing disrespect or shade here, but like this is, first of all, it's the weakest position unit on the team. I think Dennis Gardeck is safe, B.J. Ojulari is safe, and Zaven Collins is safe. There's 3 for 3. And let's just remove Darius Robinson from the equation. Let's say he's going to play everywhere. So then you're talking about guys like, okay, Xavier Thomas, I think makes the team. There's 4. L.J. Collier, like, is he a true edge rusher or can he play D tackle? So Cameron Thomas, I think that they would take any of these guys over Cameron Thomas. And then I would say maybe like Victor Dumakaji. I know he's a good special teamer.
And I think that's the key. Like, you're not going to get Ngakoue to play teams. Like,
but Xavier Thomas will play special teams.
Okay.
I don't know, man. Like, I can get on board with a lot of these names. I think we're on the opposite end. I think I watched, and again, it was with putrid defensive tackle play, with all due respect. But I watched this pass rush group, and we're basically running it back this year with the same guys. Ojulari and Zaven Collins were healthy at the end of last year. The Cardinals had no juice off the edge. And these guys aren't lifesavers, but it's something. Let's just throw some extra bodies in the mix and see what's going on. Hell, the Cardinals are doing that off every other position. It feels like they're doing that. So I'm with you that they probably really like their group more than I do. The public does, but that doesn't mean it's the right decision. You know, at the end of the day, an edge rusher, it didn't fall for them in this year's draft outside of Darius. And again, he's not a conventional, 3 or 4-3 edge rusher. But I do feel like if they sign Carl Lawson tomorrow, they sign Yannick Ngakoue tomorrow, like, the fans are fired up about that. Hey, another piece to help us. It's a long-ass season. It's the same way I look at like a Zay Jones, right? We got Greg Dortch. I like Greg Dortch. Add another body in. Somebody goes down. Yannick, what happens if Zaven Collins has a quad injury? Who's starting a pass rusher opposite B.J. Ojulari?
Well, that's what I mean in catastrophic. I mean, like, an injury or somebody just flat out isn't producing in camp. And that's like, whoa, we got a big issue here. And it should already be on high alert. But they like the versatility. They like guys that can maybe even have to drop back in coverage. And I don't know how many of those guys fit that role. And that they would probably err on the side of the devil that they know versus the one they don't. Especially with a lack of like true connections to the coaching staff outside of what we saw from Miami, and maybe Ngakoue at some point crossing paths with some of these guys.
4C33, $2 super chat. Thank you so much, my guy or gal, on a Football Friday. OGs. I know the DB room is loaded, but why not Stevie Nelson? I mean, again, camp flyer, somebody to bring in. I don't have an issue with that. I think they're going to want to look at, they drafted 3 corners. They're going to look at the corners they have. They got Garrett Williams. They've got Sean Murphy-Bunting. They got a couple guys from last year. I think the corner room, they got bodies, and I also trust Gannon to get the most out of that unit, pending there is a pass rush. Whereas, they've drafted 1 true edge rusher in 2 years.
Look, the Nelson would be the defensive equivalent of a Zay Jones, no doubt about it. Like, yeah, you want to lean on the depth or the youth in the depth that you already have, but also be prepared if somebody's not available, right? And we'll see. I'm sure Steven Nelson's just trying to weigh his options at this point. Yeah, and get back to where he's going to get an opportunity to start like he did in Houston last year. I know JG, he's on record has a whole lot of respect for Steven Nelson and what the versatility of his game, the leadership he brings. Is he available for the Cardinals to bring in a depth role? I think that becomes up to Nelson, but it's a great point. I love it. And the same goes for these pass rush guys. So Arizona Cardinals, when you look at their pass rush room with BJ and Zaven, and like you would have to make room for one of these guys. I agree. I think maybe Cameron Thomas might become the casualty at that point, just with what other guys do, their versatility, what they bring to 4th down and teams overall.
There's also a possibility that, for better or worse, that we overreact and they overrate what they have in-house at edge rusher. And I go back to last year, Derek Barnett was with Gannon in Philadelphia. He was available to be claimed. They did not claim him. They were happy with what they had, which was no production, by the way. And Derek Barnett had 2.5 sacks down the stretch for a bad for a Houston team that made the playoffs. Like, Cardinals could have used that. Derek Barnett, former first rounder out of Tennessee, like, not a world beater, but somebody that can give you a little bit of juice. Like, Cardinals said, no, we don't need that. So there's a strong possibility that you are correct, Bo, that they're just like, yeah, we want to roll with what we have. But then the problem is okay, if that's the case, then we can't wait, until the second half of this year to see that. The Cardinals play 6 of their first 8 games are against playoff teams from last year with really high-end quarterback play. So you're sitting around and your edge rushing group is going to take a little while to get going. That might cost you a playoff spot. So it feels like to me, again, I don't have a sense of urgency to like do something tomorrow, but if we're in training camp and the Cardinals have really good tackle depth now with Christian Jones and Kelvin Beachum, and then obviously Jonah Williams and Paris Johnson Jr. If the tackles are dominating in camp, get on the bat for it. If you're Monti Ossenfort, let's get some workouts in, right? Let's get some players in here because again, we'll give Zaven and we'll give BJ obviously the benefit of the doubt, but then the depth behind that, we got to see these guys. And if they're not producing, then you better make a call.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, fired up on a football Friday. Fired up to
calm down.
Yeah, I am very fired up. I thought I was going to take it easy on this show, and then Brice Butler, seeing those comments, really upset your boy. But what makes me feel better is shopping the 18 collection right now. PHNX Sports, go PHNX.com, the merchandise locker. Again, pick up one of several new T-shirts that we have here at PHNX Cardinals, including Maserati Marv, the MHJT, which is my favorite shirt we've ever done. And then, of course, a little bit of math for your boys and girls out there. 1 + 18 = 6. Again, pick up a free shirt every single year you are a diehard at gophnx.com. Any of these shirts can be yours for free. And again, if you're already a diehard, you're getting 20% off all of these shirts. You're saving money every single year you're a diehard with PHNX Sports. And again, you're repping what I think are the cleanest shirts in the Valley. They're fantastic. And we were due for some new gear on this show. And man, oh man, have we delivered. PHNX Sports has our leadership delivered with this merch, Bo.
No doubt about it. I can't wait for it to be delivered. It's going to be in just a week or so, June 10th, right? So that can't get here soon enough. Ken Weaver, Johnny got me fired up. How about HTL is now hit the likes? What do you think about that, Damon? You like that rebranding from Hold the Line to the HTL to Hit the Like?
I love it.
Yeah, it is. It works so well. You know what also works so well on a 3-day weekend is Legal Pete's. Love to hit up Legal Pete's. It's patio season. Get out there, have yourself a couple patio beers, having a couple patio margs, couple, how about taco bowls or burritos, tacos, salads, nachos. They've got it all. They've got that piping hot queso, those custom cocktails that everybody's craving this time of year. Well, any time of year, especially when it's a Legal Pete's. You can't go wrong. We love it here at PHNX Cardinals. You will as well. You get out there. Legal Pete's will bring you with their legendary sound check deal. This is what this is about. Ticket stub from any ticketed event. You can go get a draft beer or margarita for just a penny. Legal Pete's wants to celebrate whether you're at the game, pregame, or post. You got you covered all game day needs. And get down to Chase Field. Hit up a Legal Pete's next. Your ticket stub is going to get you a draft beer or house marg for just a penny. Got to purchase an adult entree to redeem a Legal Pete's sound check deal. Go visit Illegal Pete's in your area right now because it's the best spot for burritos, buddies, and beer.
Big Memorial Day plans for anybody in the chat. Drop a like on this video. It's a great way to kick off Memorial Day weekend. I've got family coming into town on Sunday, and my father and my son are on standby for when the Cardinals announce Marv jerseys that they want to drive out to Glendale and go to the team stores. So I'm sure that's on par for a lot of people in the chat, in this fan base. Cardinals open up the team store on Memorial Day weekend and get this party started with a little MHJ jersey action. A lot of people on standby for that.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. So you said that the plan is which jersey for your son? Is he gonna get the black?
Yeah,
but the black.
He's going black.
But is that going to be available? The black available?
I'm guessing that it'll be available. Have they started selling the black jerseys yet? Maybe I missed that. Okay,
they've got. I think you can get Kyler and Trey McBride and the guys that have been around in the black jerseys.
Yeah, I think so. Because he's got K1 in white, he's got Buddha in black. He's got Hollywood brown and red. And the day he went to go buy that, I told him, I said, maybe pivot to Trey McBride or Michael Wilson. He said, no, we're going to re-sign Hollywood brown. I'm like, okay, don't listen to your dad who hosts a podcast every day. He's telling you that he's probably not going to be back. And guess what? Now he never wears it.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, you're going to wear that Hollywood brown jersey with pride, young man.
Like he's trying to get him to eat his vegetables. Nope. Go ahead. Change that jersey right now. I need to see that Cardinals #2 jersey at least this many times each month.
Listen, I Hollywood Brown's a good dude. Just didn't work out here. But yeah, Team Store is going to be popping off. Circle K popping off this weekend. America's thirst stop right now. New free membership program. Again, if you're out with family, if you're driving around the Valley, it's hot right now. Hydrate. Grab a Polar Pop or Froster at any size for just 79 cents now through September 3rd in any Arizona location, thanks to our friends at Circle K. Joining the Inner Circle is going to help you save money and cool you off in the meantime. And speaking of saving money, save 25 cents per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups, then 3 cents per gallon every single day after the fact. All you got to do, open up the app. Under Inner Circle, go to offers, and there it is, a treasure trove of goodness there with our friends at Circle K. Join the Inner Circle today for free by downloading the Circle K app. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com, Bo, for more details.
Can't beat it. Can't beat any size Froster or Polar Pop for 79 cents, especially when it's up over 100 degrees here in the Valley of the Sun. Had a great conversation with Damian Parson of the Draft Network, Johnny. That's going to be available here on the YouTube channel this weekend. Don't miss out on that. Plus, we'll have the audio version of that. Had a real in-depth convo about the draft class, what Marv brings to the offense. Really excited about Trey McBride, and then gets into the defense and if it's going to be up to snuff to play a little complimentary football enough to where this Cardinals team can knock on the door as far as a playoff spot.
Love it. Love Damien. His coverage is fantastic. First class. Check out the interview. Check out it on YouTube. And again, as my guy Bo said, anywhere you download podcasts, go to your phone, your smartphone, your mobile device right now, wherever you get your podcast, type in PHNX Cardinals and give us a follow. Drop us a review, maybe a 5-star review. If you're feeling generous here on a Memorial Day weekend, it has been a banner week. Thank you to all of our guests, including our guy, Brian Baldinger. Again, subscribe to the podcast, subscribe and follow here on PHNX Sports on YouTube. Coverage doesn't stop this weekend. Fantastic coverage here. We had Diamondbacks, Mercury last night. It's fantastic. Your one-stop shop for all things Arizona sports. For Bo Brack, Damon, Dawg, I'm Johnny Venerable. Have a wonderful holiday weekend. We're back next Tuesday, but keep it tapped in here on PHNX Sports on YouTube. We will see you then. Bye, friends.
We all silly like the mayor.